ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, better.
Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome Vidura Prabhu, welcome Sujata Mataji, and welcome to all the devotees. We are today going to read chapter number 5 of Prabhupada Lilamrita. As we have learned in the previous chapters that Prabhupada ji, during his college days in 1922 in Kolkata, he first time met Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj. His friend Narendra Malik introduced him to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And in the first meeting itself, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj saw Abhay Charan, he said that you are educated young man, why don't you preach Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message throughout the whole world? And at that time, Abhay Charan had little doubt that what is the need of this Krishna consciousness at this time when India was fighting independence movements against the British. But then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj convinced through his explanation that even though the kingdoms will change, the rulers will change, the need of Krishna consciousness is urgent. It is beyond all other needs because humanity is suffering. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada was convinced and he accepted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj as his guru. It had lasting impression. After that, Srila Prabhupada, Abhay Charan at that time, didn't meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj because Abhay was busy with his job. He was working with Dr. Bose's laboratory. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj also was extensively traveling for preaching. After that, Abhay Charan got relocated to Prayag, Allahabad at that time, and he wanted to make some money. He became a big successful businessman, and then he can use all his money for Krishna consciousness. But throughout this time, Abhay Charan was constantly in touch with all devotees of Gaudiya Math, Sri Chaitanya Math at that time. In 1930, Gaur Mohan De, who is father of Abhay Charan, he passed away. And then Abhay Charan, while he was in Prayag at that time with his wife and son, he felt sort of isolation. Abhay Charan, before that, he had been to Vrindavan once, but while he was doing his business, which was the Prayag pharmacy in Allahabad, Prayag at that time, so he used to meet the devotees of Gaudiya Math, and he came to know that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was planning to come to for the second for the Vrindavan Yatra. He was planning to come to Vrindavan at that time. So Abhay Charan, he decided that he will go and meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he planned his trip in such a way that he can meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Abhay Charan that time was not initiated. He was a businessman, but he had a desire to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So his meeting was at Koshi, uh, and Abhay Charan uh, arrived there, and he planned so that he can meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That was a short meeting. At that time in the meeting, there were a couple of options. Some devotees were going for parikrama, but Abhay Charan chose to stay there and listen to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's message. After that, the next month, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was coming to Prayag again for inauguration of a temple there in Prayag by Gaudiya. So at that time, Abhay Charan took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and this was at the uh, cornerstone laying ceremony of Sri Gaudiya temple in Allahabad. So Abhay Charan took Diksha from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Can you hear me? Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Who is Keshasai?
I'm sorry.
Keshasai was. Can you go to the previous slide, Prabhuji?
Oh, that's Koshi. Koshi was the place.
No. No, other slide, Prabhuji.
This one?
The previous, yeah, this one. In this slide, they say
Keshav Maharaj.
Sheshasai Vishnu.
Say,
either you can remain to hear the Harikatha, or otherwise they may go to see Sheshasai Vishnu.
Sheshasai Vishnu. Oh, yes. So they were devotees during the parikrama were planning to visit different temples. So one of the temples they were planning to visit during the parikrama was the temple of Sheshasai Vishnu. So at that time there was a choice whether Abhay Charan want to stay with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and listen to the discourse, or go to visit the temple of Sheshasai Vishnu.
Oh, that's a temple. Okay.
Yeah, temple. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So then Abhay Charan took a Diksha, and his name after Diksha became Abhay Charanarvinda. So Charanarvinda was added to his name. Now after Diksha, then Abhay Charan had again desire to meet his Guru Maharaj. So every month actually, he planned to visit Kolkata. That's where his Guru Maharaj's main mutt or temple was there. So his plan was that every month he will visit Kolkata, and his business was in Prayag, but then he took the opportunity to travel on the account of business, and he visited his Guru Maharaj. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is running the preaching activities all across the India. Very nicely, he has organized all the different temples. Some of the temples were very opulent, and also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he had many disciples. He organized this parikramas also, and very nicely he was organizing preaching activities all across. Abhay Charan always wanted to help out devotees of Gaudiya Math, and he always used to ask the question to his Guru Maharaj, how can I serve you? How can I serve you? That was the only question. Now, during that time, Abhay Charan wanted to increase his business, and he went to Mumbai. And in Mumbai, he established a manufacturing, like a pharmaceutical manufacturing business. And his idea was that he will become a big man. And also, he lost a job in Prayag because of the debt created, and people didn't give him the money back. So then he had to get separated from Dr. Ghosh laboratory, and he had to start his own business. So that is why he moved to Mumbai at that time, Bombay. And then But during this time also he was in contact with the devotees of Gaudiya Math, and he helped them to establish a temple in Mumbai. And during that time there was uh, um, like a birthday or Vyas Puja ceremony of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. At that time, Abhay Charan, he liked to write, so he composed a poem and wrote an essay for his Guru Maharaj, and that was in 1935. So Abhay Charan then was given access to publish all his writings. He was very fond of writing. So whatever he wrote, it was published in Harmonist magazine, which was published by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very keen on publishing the Vedic literature, and Abhay Charan also took interest in writing and publishing at that time. And he was studying extensively. Abhay Charan was extensively studying Vedic literature at that time. And actually, one thing I forgot to mention is Abhay Charan got first and second initiation at the same time from the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, at that time, there were internal troubles within the Gaudiya Math, and some of the devotees were fighting over the opulent facilities of stay or accommodation within the Gaudiya Math. So the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had a doubt that one day there will be a fire within the Gaudiya Math, and that's what exactly he was worried about. Hare Krishna Gaura, Mamta Mataji and Prabhuji, uh, welcome. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur always used to tell Abhay that there will be fire one day in Gaudiya Math. So he had always a lamentation. He was lamenting that uh, instead of building all these buildings, he should have printed more books. So he told Abhay Charan that whenever you get money, please, if you get the money, print the books. If you get the money, print the books. And 2 weeks before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's departure, Abhay Charan wrote a letter in 1936 that how do I serve you, Guru Maharaj? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur replied to the letter, and he said that you spread the message of Krishna consciousness in English, Bhagavad-gita, to everybody. That was the same message he had given to him at the first meeting, and the same message also was given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to him in his last letter, that please propagate the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to all over in English language. And after that, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left the planet. So that was January 1st, 1937, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left the planet. So that was the last discussion, and we recaptured all the chapters as of now. We did in this 15 minutes. Now we'll continue with the chapter number 5. So Abhay Charan, he has lost two of his well-wishers. One is his own father, Gaur Mohan Dey, and one is his spiritual father, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So both are gone now. So Abhay Charan was feeling very lonely. But again, he was in contact with the devotees of Gaudiya Math. And now he is in dilemma also, because there is a war happening. Now here is this chapter number 5 of Prabhupada Lilamrita, where there are two types of wars are happening in Abhay Charan's life. There are actually three types of wars actually. One is the war of independence happening in Bharatvarsha. There is second war going on at that time within the Gaudiya Math. All the devotees were fighting with each other. So that is described very nicely in this chapter, and how it took a toll on the preaching mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. As well as in this chapter, we will learn how this war within the Gaudiya Math affected the preaching activities of all the devotees, including Abhay Charan Aravinda. And at that time also there was a sort of a war or struggle in the Abhay Charan's family life also. So Abhay Charan is having 3 types of war at this time in his life. That is 1937 now. And there's a starting of this chapter, a nice paragraph here. Srila Prabhupada, this is the paragraph. Maybe Vidura Prabhu, you want to read this for us?
Sure, Prabhuji. Under the circumstances, since 1936 up to now, I was simply speculating whether I shall venture this difficult task, and that without any means and capacity. But as none have discouraged me, I have now taken courage to take up the work. Srila Prabhupada, Back to Godhead magazine.
So this is the sentence taken from Srila Prabhupada's Back to Godhead magazine, published during that time. So Prabhupada's attempt to publication was always there, and he always liked to publish and write in English about Krishna consciousness. And we'll learn more about this in this chapter, that how that book distribution encouragement and book distribution which books printing, which Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur said to Prabhupada, and how Prabhupada took this mission very seriously. It starts from here. So there was a fire within the mutt actually. So after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur passed away, there were disputes within the Gaudiya mutt. So all the devotees, they were fighting with each other. Hare Krishna, Karuna Mataji, Mamtaji, Guru Prasad Prabhu, Sujata Mataji, and Vidura Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. So we are beginning with this fire in the Gaudiya mutt, and the dispute was over the properties as well as the disciples. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had instructed all the disciples that after his departure, you form a 12-man governing body commission, GBC. And that commission should rule the Gaudiya mutt. And same Prabhupada also implemented for ISKCON actually. And so we can see that how Prabhupada is following all the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur instructed during his departure that they should form GBC. But instead, the idea of appointing a single Acharya gained traction and leading to struggle over who would assume the leadership. So whosoever was left behind, they were fighting with each other, and they ignored the instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So there was a dispute over the property. So there were 2 fractions emerged within the Gaudiya mutt, and these fractions were led by Ananta Vasudev. This was one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and another disciple was Kunj Vihari. So Ananta Vasudev was supported by a lot of sannyasis, and he pushed that only one person should be the leader. And the other devotee, his name was Kunj Vihari, he was the administrator, and he was claiming over the properties and assets. So now Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had written a will, but Kunj Vihari questioned the will of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because he argued that all the properties which were built by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were in the name of a god and not Acharya. So there was a legal battle, and there were litigations going on. Now more supporters were for the Ananta Vasudev, but Kunj Vihari was pressing upon the court actually, and everything was like in a complete quarrel, or a lot of fight were going on within the Gaudiya mutt at that time. Now Abhay Charan at that time, he was more of like an observer, because Abhay Charanarvind at that time had not taken any administrative role or responsibilities within the Gaudiya mutt. Even Abhay Charanarvind helped to establish Mumbai temple for Gaudiya mutt. He did not move in the temple, and he was always looking after his business, family, and helping Gaudiya mutt, and also publishing in writing. So at that time, Abhay was more of like a observer rather than participant, and he found himself distant from the internal conflict. And that was actually good for Abhay Charan, because if he would have been absorbed into one of those parties, then he would not have been able to progress in his spiritual life. And Abhay Charanavinda felt disheartened by the disregard for his spiritual master's vision, which was that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur had instructed to all his disciples that after my departure, please cooperate with each other and conduct this Krishna consciousness movement. But they did not obey his command. So this had huge impact on preaching actually. The Gaudiya stopped preaching, and all the people were fighting with each other. Conflict were going on continuously with each other. And Abhay's family commitment were now compounded by, like, he had a business struggle, Abhay Charana's business struggle, family struggle, and now in the spiritual life, he was facing this struggle, ongoing struggle uh, with all his spiritual god brothers and sisters. So that was a real problem going on there. So it affected Abhay Charan and everybody's preaching also at that time. Now at that time, Abhay Charan in Mumbai, his business was not doing well. So then he decided to move back to Kolkata. And Abhay Charan at that time started a new business because he had a desire that he wants to make this money and then use it for Krishna consciousness. So he started a business, and this is the business name, Abhay Charan Day and Sons, because he was doing his business in Mumbai, but he wanted to do better. So this is the picture, which is now you see that all these publications, what Abhay Charan was doing for his laboratory, where he was producing all the pharmaceutical products like distilled water, uh, then some tonics and some injections and oils and some medicines, and he was manufacturing them and then distributing them. So, and there were, Abhay Charan was mostly, even though the business was named as Abhay Charan Day and Sons, he was mostly working by himself. There was one servant, Gaurango, he was working with them, and there were other people also partly working with them. But Abhay Charan himself was like making the distilled water, go to the delivery of distilled water, then writing all these publications of price list and menu. So he was designing everything by himself actually. So he was doing single-handedly all this business. So he had this practice of running the things single-handedly. Huh? So that helped him further while he was spreading his Krishna consciousness. Now, overall, while Abhay Charan was doing his business in Calcutta also, in Calcutta they had rented a place. This was like a 3-story building, and on the first floor, Abhay Charan rented this place for his office and manufacturing, and on the third floor, he used to stay in the same building in Calcutta. And at that time, the neighbors, there were other neighbors were there, where his children used to go and play in the surrounding areas. So all of them, they used to recognize Abhay as a devotee. Whenever they used to speak with Abhay, he never used to speak about business with them. He used to speak about Krishna consciousness rather than anything else. And Abhay, even though he was very busy, he's developing business in Mumbai, now he's developing business in Kolkata, but he always in touch with the devotees and try to read the scriptures, and whenever he used to speak also, he used to speak about Krishna consciousness to everybody. There's one quote here from one of his neighbor. Her name is Chandi Mukherjee. And here is the quote about Abhay's perception about by this particular devotee. So, Sujata Mataji, you want to read this?
Sure, Prabhuji. Chandi Mukherjee, a neighbor from nearby Bihari Street, He was interested only in devotional services, and he did his business only to maintain the family. He did not seem interested in the profit motive, in accumulating money or becoming a rich man.
Thank you, Mataji. So we can see that Abhay had a very good relationship with the neighbors actually, and whenever he used to meet the neighbors, he used to talk about Krishna consciousness. He was very scholarly. He had a good knowledge about Vedic scripture. He was studying it actively, and he was trying to spread the message. Uh, at that time, also, Abhay Charan was translating Bhagavad-gita. That part we'll speak about in the next few slides. So there is another Charan Mukherjee. He was Abhay's next door neighbor in Kolkata. And here is the quote by Abhay Charan Mukherjee. Mamtaji, you want to read this?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I will read that. Charan Mukherjee, Abhay's next door neighbor. Abhay Charan Day was always a very patient listener to every illogical argument that anybody, including myself, would bring to him. Not knowing philosophy, I would illogical present so many arguments, and Mr. Day would always very patiently listen. Nothing agitated him. He was always very calm, and he taught me about God. He would speak only of Krishna. He was translating the Gita and was maintaining his business.
Thank you, Mataji. So here we can see that all the neighbors, there was another neighbor, Ganguly. Everybody had this perception about Abhay, that Abhay is a very Krishna conscious person. Abhay Charan had a mustache at that time, and he was very good at his literary work also. He was translating Bhagavad-gita, and he was a very patient listener. And when people come with arguments, he used to listen to them and try to explain them. So he had this taste for preaching activities. Now, while he was operating his business, Abhay Charan was engaging with all the neighbors about Krishna consciousness. He was absorbed at the same time in translating Gita into English. And he was writing, there was a translation, about 1200 page translation on Gita Upanishad. He was translating that into English for the benefit of community at large. And thus, Abhay Charan was balancing his business duty, family duty, and devotion. There was sort of a struggle going on in family life also at that time, because his wife Radharani, he didn't like this preaching idea of Abhay Charan. So and then his business demanded a lot of time, so it was an obstruction also in his in preaching movement at that time. So at that time, community, like overall in Kolkata, the situation is that everything was British governed, and there was a war going on, Second World War. But still, people were very God conscious at that time in Kolkata, even the wealthy individuals. And Abhay Charan even spoke with some of his Muslim customers. And there's a mention of one Muslim customer, Abdullah, and Prabhupada, Abhay Charan at that time. He spoke with him and said, you're doing such a good business. What will you do with this money? So that Abdullah used to say to Prabhupada that when I have enough money, I'll build a big mosque. So at that time also, like, everybody was thinking about God in Kolkata. So everybody was God conscious people. So that time Gaudiya Math dispute increased, and legal fractions among Gaudiya Math, they diverted their journey from spiritual teachings to fighting with each other. And Vasudev, who was one of the followers of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he got a lot of followers. But then afterwards, this same person, Vasudev, who had a lot of followers, he got married and he got diverted away from the preaching mission of Gaudiya Math. So Gaudiya Math preaching literally stopped actually. And then new ashrams of Gaudiya Math were like coming up. All the fractions within the Gaudiya Math, they were establishing the ashrams like Gaudiya Mission, Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, and the whole Gaudiya Math, which was under the leadership of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, like a very big cooperative movement, was now transformed into the competing groups, lacking cohesion within themselves. Everybody was fighting. So now Abhay Charan was worried about all these things. His interest was always preaching, and there was one of the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His name was Sridhar Maharaj, and we have heard this name very often from Srila Prabhupada's commentaries also. That this Sridhar Maharaj was very much interested in preaching, and Abhay Charan, with some of his fellow devotees, they provided support to Sridhar Maharaj in their preaching effort. So in the building where Abhay Charan now is staying in Kolkata, where first floor he is renting for his business, and the third floor his family is staying, there is a second floor, which he gives it to Sridhar Maharaj. And Sridhar Maharaj rents that room from Abhay Charan, and he gives him like 24 rupees every month or something like that. And because Abhay Charan is also renting from somebody else. There, Sridhar Maharaj, along with some of his god brothers like Bhakti Saranga Swami Maharaj and others, they stayed there, and they established a small mutt or preaching mission there within the same building where Abhay Charan is staying and doing his business. And they call that mutt, that place, second floor of that building, as Devananda Saraswati Mutt. And so Abhay Charan, Sridhar Maharaj, and all other devotees, they are staying here. They are staying away from this fighting group, and they are trying to spread the Krishna consciousness. Now, Abhay's family is staying on the top. Now, sannyasis, all this Sridhar Maharaj and all, they are cooking their food in a kitchen in the second floor. Abhay Charan always took the meals and prasad and everything with his own family members. But he used to come very often to Sridhar Maharaj and discuss with them about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad-gita and all these things. So here he got very close association with these devotees. So he used to go for preaching with Sridhar Maharaj. He used to encourage Sridhar Maharaj that, oh, please go, let's go for a preaching. And Abhay Charan used to play mridangam very nicely, because his father, Gaur Mohan Dey, had taught him mridangam in the childhood. So now Abhay Charan, while the fighting is going on in Gaudiya Math, Abhay Charan with Sridhar Maharaj, they are preaching, and they are traveling to devotees' home and doing home program, Kirtan, Katha, Bhagavatam. And sometimes when Sridhar Maharaj is sick, then Abhay Charan used to do the Bhagavatam class, and he used to do the. So in this way, Abhay Charan Arvinda is helping encouraging Sridhar Maharaj to preach, and he is helping him to preach, and he is also participating actually in preaching movement. So here is the beginning of the Krishna consciousness preaching starts in Abhay's life like that. Now, Sridhar Maharaj says something about Abhay Charan here. Very nice paragraph actually. Maybe Guru Prasad Prabhu, you want to read this?
Yes, Prabhu. Sridhar Maharaj, we did not see Abhay as working very hard for making money, nor did he seem very rich or to have a lot of liquid funds. He was attracted more to the spiritual side of affairs than to his family affairs. He never discussed business prospects with me, whether the business was up or down, or whether he was planning to do this or that. Monetarily, he did not have sufficient funds for giving any to the mission.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji, thank you. So here...
That means he was interested in giving, but he was not in a position to do that.
Yes. Abhay Charan Arvinda, he was doing his business. He was trying his best. He started the business in Prayag and then Bombay and now moving back to Kolkata. You see, Abhay Charan Arvinda's life is also a lot of struggle in terms of maintaining the family, maintaining the business. It is not an easygoing life for Abhay Charan at this time. And there is a fight going on within the Gaudiya Math. He wants to spread the mission. He is writing Bhagavad-gita actively, translating the Gita Upanishad because his Guru Maharaj had instructed him. And he took that to his heart. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kari Akhya. So he had already decided that he's going to spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English to all over. And he's doing it actively. But he doesn't have enough Lakshmi to spread his mission. So Abhay Charan, although he had a lot of material struggles, but his spiritual focus was very strong actually. And he often thought that spiritual progress is very important. So despite his financial limitations, he prioritized spreading Krishna consciousness over the monetary ambitions. But he didn't give up his business actually, because that was required to maintain his family. He was writing Vaishnava literature as well. And he was contemplating on publishing now. So writing was going on, but Abhay Charan had an idea that why doesn't he publish on the spiritual teachings? Because Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur had instructed him, if you ever get money, print books. So Gaudiya actually stopped publishing, actually the magazine, which was monthly magazine, Harmony was being published, was stopped publishing. And the one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Kunj Bihari, he was fighting the legal battle for the property, and he sold the entire press and the machine so that he can pay the legal fees. So here, the main printing mission, the preaching mission of Gaudiya Math was shut down completely. So Abhay Charan was really disheartened, and he wanted to continue the preaching mission. He wanted to publish the books. So here he introduced the commentary on Bhagavad-gita in English. So in 1939, Abhay Charan wrote Introduction to Gita Upanishad in English. And his intention was that there were many commentaries, at that time on Bhagavad-gita. But most of the commentary were written by impersonalists who did not deliver the prime message of Bhagavad Gita, that to surrender to Krishna. The prime message is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam. But then many of these commentaries were missing. So Abhay Charan wanted to deliver the same message. So he planned to translate and comment on Bhagavad Gita to preserve its original spirit, which was to surrender to Bhagavan Krishna. During the school days also, Abhay Charan had heard many this Mayavadi classes or philosophers coming and giving the classes, in their school, college days also. There's mention of one class he attended during the college days, where there's a class called as Vidya Ratan, the jewel of education, which is Bhagavad Gita actually. But in that also, they had presented it in a Mayavad philosophy way, where they didn't want to glorify Lord Krishna throughout the Bhagavad Gita. They were glorifying themselves actually, and they rejected the concept of Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Abhay Charan wanted to establish this, and he wanted to confront the opponents of this pure theism, opponents of pure theism and agnosticism. So Abhay Charan, he believed that Bhagavad Gita was the powerful tool, and he wanted to establish the Krishna consciousness through this. So he started writing commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. And Abhay Charan criticized these commentaries, asserting that all these other commentaries, Abhay Charan didn't like them. And Abhay wrote, they have no entrance into real meaning of Bhagavad Gita, in as much as a fly can not enter into the covered jar of the honey. So everybody was trying to lick the honey from the bottle. You cannot do that. You have to open the bottle. And that is what the real message of Bhagavad Gita is, that you have to surrender to Krishna rather than speculating. So Abhay Charan wanted to establish Lord Krishna's identity. So Abhay Charan declared, but in this book, I will establish that Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead by referring to available records of scriptures which are recorded history of Indian culture and thought. So that was the main purpose of Bhagavad-gita, which Abhay Charan was translating, and he was doing single-handedly by himself. So now here Abhay Charan is doing a lot of literary work. So at that time, the sannyasis, all this was Sridhar Maharaj and Bhakti Sarangas Goswami Maharaj, who were staying in the same building where Abhay Charan is operating the business in Kolkata, they were impressed by the Abhay Charan's thought, intention, his literary work, and they gave him this title, Bhaktivedanta. And that's how the A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, whole name. So Abhay Charana Ravinda name was given to him by his Guru Maharaj. Abhay Charan was his father, name was given by his parents. Abhay Charana Ravinda was given by Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. But now this Bhakti Vedanta title was given by Sridhar Swami Maharaj. So Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj wanted to confer Abhay Bhaktisiddhanta, this title. But then Sridhar Maharaj thought that it would be inappropriate to give the same title as the title was given to Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he changed the title to Bhakti Vedanta. So Bhakti means devotion and Vedanta means end of the knowledge, Vedanta. So devotion is the end of all the Vedic knowledge. So that is Bhakti Vedanta. So here the title Bhakti Vedanta was conferred upon, and Abhay Charana Ravinda now became Bhakti Vedanta. So that is the title again. So and Abhay Charan accepted this title gladly. And Abhay Charan actively helped Sridhar Maharaj to engage in preaching, mission, and spread Krishna consciousness. Now, at that time, there was a political war also going on, and Subhash Chandra Bose was also there, and he was fighting for India's political independence movement. And there was a Second World War also going on, and this elaborate description of Second World War is there in the chapter. Gandhi also, like a movement, he started Quit India movement, and there was like a revolt going on. There was a world war fighting in Germany, fighting in Japan. There's lots of bomb falling every day. Bombshells were going on every day. So lots of things were going on in the political climate. And at that time, there was a famine in Calcutta. So lots of people were suffering. And Srila Prabhupada writes about this drought or famine usually. Uh, this was a really bad time actually. People were not even having enough money to maintain